because I was in a dark place. Things started to fall apart a bit. I could see the way I was going and I wasn't happy. The camp gave me a purpose. It just changed my life.
In 2019, after decades away from photography, he picked up a camera again. What started out as an escape slowly became confidence, purpose, community, and eventually an entirely new chapter of life. When I first met him in 2022, he was still figuring things out. Since then, he's attended several of my workshops and we've become good friends. Over the last 18 months on my mentorship program, I've watched his journey from first print sale to his images now hanging in hundreds of homes across the UK. This is Peter's story.
I remember you saying you've done photography, but you have got out of it for a long while.
Yeah.
When did you get back into?
I first started it in the late 70s. Then we got married. I got married, should I say. And then the priority was bring your family up and make sure that money's on the table, sort of thing, like most men of my generation would think. And that's all you concentrated. And then things started to fall apart a bit. And it just changed overnight the way I was thinking, because I was in a dark place. Yeah.
Was that kind of when you started to kind of go back towards photography?
Yeah. It was a friend who actually said, "Oh, there's my brother's got cameras. Do you want it?" And it just changed my life.
I think by this point your kids have grown up.
Yes.
Flee the nest.
Yeah, I've got an apartment on my own. And like most people then, you sort of got a little bit of time on your hands. And it was a choice of going to the pub or getting out and doing something different. I could see the way I was going and I wasn't happy. So I needed something completely different. And I just saw a couple of YouTube videos on printing. And I thought that would make more sense rather than going to the Instagram, where, by then I was in my early 60s and it's another world. So I thought, I'll get a printer. And that's how I started.
So when I first met you, you were quote unquote a landscape photographer.
Yes.
That was predominantly what you're doing.
Yes.
So when did you start to expand out into doing other things?
I think when you get comfortable in the landscape, you're doing one genre, you then just fancy yourself, well, I could do something else. And the urban, I've always been a city. I've never lived in the country, so part of where I live is Stoke-on-Trent, and it's very urbanised. So that's always been a part of me. And I love going to London. I could just walk the streets and enjoy them, but the camp gave me a purpose.
A reason. Yeah.
I was in a little group that were artists that were selling their prints through like village halls. And so I did that a few times, and it could be soul destroyer, sitting there 8 hours and you've sold nothing.
I'm laughing because he sounds like a wedding fair.
Yeah. I hear you say, "Oh, I am the worst photographer ever." But then on that group chat, there was another post setting up a pop-up for local independent makers looking for jewelers, artists, selling their artwork. Didn't have any photography, and I emailed him. She sent him a couple of the images, and he turned around and he said, "Yeah, fine."
Oh, you started off applying to go into one
Yeah,
shop.
we had
That's
a
what
lot
it
of
was.
shop for about 12 months. The footfall was quite low.
So this is not a gallery or a photo print shop. It's local artisans kind of.
That's right. You have everything in there.
So Hanley's Staffordshire. Did you find that there was anything that you put in there that didn't sell?
I got a couple of months after they opened in Warrington. And in Hanley, it was more local. Anything that's different wouldn't sell. But you put it in Warrington and it would sell.
So you sold street photography in one,
And yeah, in Warrington, yes,
and you open up a third.
yes. At Tunbridge Wells,
Sorry.
just south of London. Yeah,
Up now the Lake District.
yes, in Carlisle.
That's amazing. And so you picked up a couple of commissions as well from customers who have
Yes,
seen
yes,
your work.
yes.
So how did they come about?
Again, it was through the shop.
So in 2.5 years, you've gone from feeling quite deflated at
Yeah.
Village Fair to now selling hundreds of prints, commissions from off the back of that. I mean, that's amazing. That is truly amazing.
From a 69-year-old, struggles with thinking that he's not good and much. Yes, it has changed my life. It's changed my attitude.
Yeah.
I was coming from a place where I never thought I was very good in myself. I always had problems looking at my self-esteem and realizing that I never passed a exam. I was dyslexic. I was growing up in the 50s, early 60s, and the first thing you were classed if you couldn't spell, you were thick, and that stayed with me. And now to realise that actually I am quite a good photographer, and that's taken 12 months for me to accept that, but I do accept that. I'm as good as most people.
I think what really fascinated me about your story with this and knowing the final numbers that we get to as part of this is the fact that you put yourself out there in the first place. It's because that's scary.
It is.